Mariana,
Yes.
you can check, right? Who is connected?
I can't. Yes, I have it here. Yeah, good. Hello. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Just gonna wait just one more minute, perhaps, just to see if we get more people joining, and then we can restart. Hi, Nicole. Your image is not great, but you can see you. All right. Okay. I think now we can get started.
Yes.
Yeah, good. All right. So
Alright.
you'll say they're welcome to everyone, okay, Nicole?
Okay, so hello everyone. I'm Eloisa. I'm here with Mariana and Nicole, and we have different backgrounds, but today we are here as students of Logosophy. Before we go to the main topic, I would like to mention briefly what Logosophy is. So, Logosophy is a science created in 1930 in Argentina by the thinker, educator, and humanist González Pecote. So in August this year, it will complete 93 years and 30 years here in Europe. So it's a year of celebrations. Logosophy is an institution present in several countries in Americas and Europe, also in Israel and Australia. It is a non-profit organization with no political or religious affiliations of any kind. And it is a privately owned institution founded by its fellow members. So I think that what I would like to share is that I would describe Logosophy as an institution that instead of trying to offer a better world to humanity, it does the other way around. So it seeks to offer a better human being to the world. And one way to do it is through education. And so Logosophy teaches us the ability to think for ourselves, to observe and understand our own thoughts and feelings. So today we will share how Logosophy has been helping us to think and see if we are looking in the right direction. So Mariana, what would you like to share with us? Your microphone.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was on mute. Okay, let me start over then. So I start sharing this image of the GPS. I knew I would forget to turn off the mic. Sorry, guys. So when I ask like this image showing that recalculating 89%, and I ask like if life is a route where we drive through, how many times does our GPS recalculate the route? And perhaps even before that, we can think about, how do you know what to write on the search box, on the destination search box? And also we can ask ourselves, do I really know my location from where I'm really starting from? Do you also ask yourselves like those questions? Like frequently, do you stop and thinking about this? I know that life is so complex. There is so many things going on, right? There is my life as a professional, my life as a mother, as a daughter, as a wife, girlfriend, and those things sometimes seems like to be pulling us in the opposite direction. And if I can only write one thing on the destination box, what should I add? How can I live all my life towards the same directions? So I thought about some scenarios, like let's say if I set up a goal and I work on it, where I put all my efforts and I go and I get it. I achieve what I want, but then it's not unusual for me to feel this kind of emptiness inside. So what's happening, right? What did I miss along the way? Or the other scenario where I set like nice goals, but I never get it. No matter how hard I try, I cannot get close to what I want or what I dream of. So in this case, I note that I not always know what I am, like my precise location. So I start thinking that I'm gonna run on 10K, and then I realize that's a marathon, those kind of things. And I end up giving up, thinking that, oh, it's too hard, but in fact, I just didn't like set the right expectation. And another thing that I thought about was when we think about the distractions that appears in our way. So thinking about the image of the GPS, when I add additional stops, so how many additional stops do I add to get to my destination? Or perhaps I stay longer in a place, or making too much unexpected stop along the way, we can easily get distracted. But going back to this fact of life can pull us in different directions, I will pass the word to Nicole that will share a nice experience with us.
Yes, thank you, Mariana. Thinking about this aspect, I have experienced something similar when I had the feeling of running in all directions in my life. Have you ever experienced something like that? So I asked myself, how knowing what I seek might help me to deal with these moments? And making a reflection on these questions and remembering some moments of my life, I realized that as I got older, I acquired more responsibilities. And I felt the effects of choices in life. In transition from adolescence to adulthood, I had important choices to make, like deciding to go to university, where to work, and where I would like to live, and make choices. And I made these choices based on what I prioritize, but without being very aware of what I was truly looking for. Since I was a little girl, I was taught to study and to go after experience that would add to my future. I have always imagined a life on track and with success. And by finishing university and starting to work, I was always looking for that image of successful life. And after some job and city changes, I conclude that success seemed very distant. And for a while, I accepted that maybe it would take a long time for me to reach that desired position, or that achievement of buying like a house for my own that seems to be related to that life of success. And I got in contact with the concept that in my mind, I can create thoughts, and these thoughts, when put into practice, They can reflect in actions aligned with what I thought and decided to do for myself. I started to observe my choices in the past and how my choices in the past, they contributed to who I am today, and how many of them were also influenced by people around me, like such as family and friends. And I began to realize that I was looking only for any specific achievements in life. Faced with these observations, I identified that when I make efforts to understand what I really want, to observe myself, my behavior, and even more, what I am thinking, I can create opportunities and situations in my life. So I've been building my concept of success as the realization of something that I could consciously collaborate and make it real. And consciously means those efforts to know about myself, to discover more what I want and my inner resources, and also what goes on in my mind. The author of Logosophy brings that happiness is something granted to us by life through small portions of good. Usually it is sought with one's eyes set on only one goal. If that goal fails or that objective disappears, then life is affected and brings forth grief, skepticism, and disappointment. I have been realizing that a moment of success can be like a meal with my loved ones, or completing a desired course, putting an idea on practice, taking a dream trip, thinking about my past experiences, valuing the achievements and challenges, and also changing my behavior in some situations. So every day I am experiencing several moments of success, several small portions of good that bring me happiness. But I was not aware because my concept of success was directly mainly towards material achievements. And it is easy to observe externally, right? We can look at something that passed by us and caught our attention. We observe a beautiful landscape or others' person attitude or something we don't agree with. But what if I direct my eyes to what's going on inside of me? Will I find resources that are important to my life and that can bring me moments of joy? I will leave those questions for you to think about it, and while Eloisa will share an experience with us.
Thank you, Nicole. Thank you. So I would like to share an experience that I recently had. So I was passing through a time in which it was quite common that in the end of the day, I was in a sad mood or feeling with low self-esteem. And so it was happening quite a lot. And I started to question myself, what could be the cause of it? And I realized that on days that I disobeyed what I had committed to do on the day, my mood went down. And it was mainly because I began to lose confidence in myself and also others in me. I don't know if you, maybe you ever experienced that, to commit with something and then don't stick to it. So it was happening quite a lot with me. And it was affecting my mood at the end of the day. So I saw this correlation. And with this new perception about myself, I decided that I would observe those moments more often. So even though I planned a realistic time to do a task, and lots of time I just decided not to do it. So this pattern was always reflecting on stress or sadness or low self-esteem, as I just said. So I started to keep a more alert attention on situations when I saw the habit coming again, but I didn't know how to change it. So I wanted to change, but I didn't know what to do or in what to pay attention to. So that got me thinking. And I also like to bring it here to think about it. So How much of my experiences and my own reality can I see without a knowledge to help me? And so I came to realize that I need knowledge to make sense of what I'm observing. So I understood that observing isn't about suddenly paying attention to every moment. So without the knowledge, I usually can't observe much. And while I was studying, I came across to this passage. So this passage that says that one of the reasons one tends to be disobedient is the fear of limiting one's autonomy. That if by being obedient, it succumbs a problem with freedom. Have you ever seen that on your internal world? So for me, I used this knowledge to nourish my observations and give a direction to observations about myself. I began to observe how setting a specific time to complete a task was unconsciously seen as a threat to my freedom, a fear of my autonomy. Have you also seen that unconscious movement inside you? So while I was studying, the passage also said that one should educate oneself about the benefits and reasons. One shouldn't blindly obey anything. And it hit me really hard inside me about that I shouldn't blindly obey anything. So when I began to observe that in situations where I knew clearly in my mind and heart the reason I was doing what I was doing at that specific time and why on that specific time, so the benefit of committing to what I was proposing, I could obey easily and with joy. So with this experience, I realized that it looked so hard to stick to my goals and manage my time to achieve them. But so although the old mental habit was leading to sadness, I didn't know what to observe inside myself. And then with knowledge, it created a direction. Have you experienced something different when observing with and without a knowledge? So I will pass the word to Nicole to continue telling us about what she has been living with this topic.
Thank you, Eloisa. I was having some issues with the video, so now I think it's clear to see me. I have been thinking that there are moments where we need to set our look to the opposite common direction. But we need to know about this possibility to change the situation by changing how we react to it. And one experience I have on a daily basis is going to work by train. Is when I go to work by train, it takes a 15 minutes trip, and I like to enjoy this time in some way. But there are days that I also like to just watch the landscape, admiring the fields and the houses. And on a day like that, I was attentive to what I was living, and I started to think where I was. And many thoughts and memories come to me as I was going to work in a country different from my country of origin, speaking in English, that's a language different from my mother tongue. And a good feeling come over when I remembered the path I had taken to be living that. I remembered when I thought I wanted to have an experience in working abroad and the motivations that led me to these choices. Some questions I asked myself at that moment were, am I happy where I am now? And am I going in the direction I desired? And this experience, observing a moment of my life, allowed me to have the feeling of existing and to make a relation with something that I desired in the past and I am doing now. how my efforts in the past made the moments of the present possible, and how I am daily building the future that I want to live. But we can ask ourselves, why observe? Why observation can bring me something? What observation can help me? And I have been learning how observation can be a source of more knowledge about something. For example, a tendency on a behavior or habit patterns. And when I propose to observe something, I can notice some detail that I had not noticed before. And using the attention allied to observation can bring me useful conclusions from my experiences and my behavior. Because observing or just seeing something is different. As in the case of what I experienced in the train, it could have been just another trip to work, but it led me to feelings, memories, and also questions about the direction my life was going. In this way, I understood that observation can change from being passive and become active, as I observe something and I can make a connection with some aspect of my life. An extract from a book of Logosophy says that an event or an episode can be observed without any interest at all, in which case it will be of no importance or will simply be forgotten. But if the attitude of observing this event or episode is different, it is very likely that motives related to the individual's experience and knowledge will be revealed and will enable him to extract useful conclusions. And being more aware of this possibility helps me to give more value of what I lived and what I live daily. I understand that I have to make small and constant efforts to train my mind and to make more observations directly towards my inner self, to know more about my psychological and mental mechanism, seeking to live life internally and transcend the external and physical aspects. A relation that I like to make, it's about a reality that I live when I propose to do a physical activity, and I have difficulties in maintaining the habit. But I know the results are positive for my physique and also for my psychology. And these are stimulus that to repeat these activities. So in the same way that I experience positive results for practicing the observation, I want to continue practicing and harvest the fruits of these internal and external observations in my life and in my relationships. And now I will pass the word to Eloisa to hear more from her. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicole. Thank you. So I'll bring another element that Logosophy has. Okay, let's go. So it says that while observing, one must be aware of what one is observing. One must know what is the cause that motivates the observation. If this is not done, the being will move away from the true direction, which should consist in the feeling that animates all its conscious movements. This has led me to ask myself, where is my observation going during the day? Do I have a cause that motivates it? What I observe during the day is related to what I think is important? In which direction do I want to go? Which direction has value for me? I recently had an experience that I would like to share. So when I was offered my job, I did not know what area of the big size company I would be managing projects in. And when I started it, I found out that it was in an area that I had no affinity for. So I had to take several courses to understand the specificities of the subject, the ins and outs. And anyway, I started to get involved. even though I did not like it, because my goal was that if I did it, if I did a good job, I could be permanent hired by the company. So I was putting effort on it. And a few months later, I realized that this was definitely not certain. They were even having several layoffs in the company. So with that, it got me thinking, why should I get involved if the outcome was not certain? And after some reflections and thinking, I thought about what direction mattered to me. So the direction is not to be hired by the company, so it can remain uncertain. My direction is the pursuit of becoming a better person. And I realized that I can apply this change, this mindset change, to many areas of my life where I deal with uncertainty. It can be relationships, friendships, work, a new project, and other things. So through this change, I do not miss opportunities to do good, to improve myself because of life's uncertainties. I realized that I can take ownership of the direction I want to look. I can transcend the situation to a more valuable direction. And what about you, Mariana? Do you also see the observation as a power?
Yes, as Logosophy teaches, right? Observation is a power because it assists us to be more conscious of our own life. So I want to read this extracted from Logosophy. To be truly conscious in every moment of life, that is, when one thinks or does not think, when one works or does nothing, when one studies or does not, and in all the movements that we perform during the day, when we are walking, sitting, eating, drinking, reading, laughing, or even when we are in a bad mood. It is necessary for our conscience to be alert and reminding us that in order to become a true masters of our life, we must make life a series of happy events that will increase the value of its content. So I'm going through the experience of buying a house, and it can be quite a stressful process, right? To start with, English is my second language, and there's a lot of unknown terms for me. But so many more goes on in my mind, right? Is it the best option? Do I want to make an offer to this house? For how much should I put the offer for? And am I doing the right choice? And so many other concerns. Doing this process for months now, I recently noticed a variation on my mood, getting a bad mood very easily. But with the knowledge that I'm acquiring in Logosophy, it didn't become just another bad day or another hard moment that I need to go through. I didn't want to be like, okay, I'll be happy when I finish this process. And meanwhile, I'm here like suffering and not happy, and letting this bad mood affecting everything, like other aspects of my life, nothing related to the house. And having practiced my observation, I could identify what was going on inside of me, identify my thoughts of impatience, intolerance, the feeling of anxious, stress, and the pressure. And all of those things were making me blind to see all the happy moments that was still going on in my life, as usual, right? Moments like with my kids, for instance. Even in this buying process, I could, if when I stop and observe it, despite all the stressful and the hard moments, I had small victories. I was spending my abilities, overcoming some limitations. And I also was having like night and after night for long talks with my husband about the future, perfect house, and drinking wine, bonding even more with him. But why would the stress getting into those moments and ruining it, right? Should the stress be less stressful if I was consciously observing those small happiness? If I didn't use my conscious observation, I would be missing those little moments and I would miss those little portions of good. And for me, this ability to observe my thinking and feeling work as a tool to improve my location accuracy, to know where I am. Because as more and as better I use my observation, I would see more those things, more those small moments. Connect this, the better feeling, understanding better what I'm feeling, what I'm thinking. I get to know better who I am, my own self. And therefore, if I can, from every moment that I live, get to know a little bit more who I truly am, better I will know my location. I will know it more precisely, right? And it is, how fundamental is that to get to my destination, right? So there is so many other aspects and concepts in Logosophy that brings and expands life, that make us see the life in a different perspective, which help us to look in the right direction. So if you want to know more about it, you can either join us, let me share here. You can either join us next Saturday for another online talk where other students of Logosophy will share about the experience regarding relationship. You can use this barcode to subscribe and to join us there. You can also follow us on Instagram, Facebook, where we post like so many small concepts of Logosophy, and we're soon going to post also the invitation of this talk. And there is also these links here where you can find more about Logosophy. On Logosophy website, you can find the books that you can download for free and get to know a little bit more. And if you cannot wait until next week, if you cannot wait more to know more about Logosophy, you can request a free information course, that where we're going to explain what Logosophy is and how do we study it. And you can request it using this barcode or get into this bit link. And so I hope to hear from you. And thank you all for being here tonight. And good night.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank Willow.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.